What's up, YouTube? It's Cody here at Value Hound Sports, and tonight we're going to be hopping into a Underdog best ball draft for the upcoming MLB season. So the tournament that we're taking part in is called the Dinger, and as you can see, I've already loaded it up here, and we're on. And yeah, so what Underdog is, for those who don't know, is essentially it's a daily, season-long best ball pick'em fantasy site. Really, like a kind of a central hub for all your needs and wants when it comes to fantasy sports. What's really cool about their platform is that instead of just kind of like picking in the daily fantasy, which you would on some other sites, they actually go through and do drafts. So what we're doing tonight is just picking our season-long team. As you can see, we're ninth up here, and yeah, we'll see. So as we go along, I'll just kind of give you guys a little bit of thoughts on my picks, why I'm choosing them, why I might be passing on certain players, and ultimately how we're going to want our roster to turn out at the end. So in the first round here, I usually tend to gravitate a little bit towards outfielder, but as you can see from behind me, I'm a big Blue Jays fan, and I haven't really had the chance to grab Vladdy yet this year. So let's go ahead and pick him up and see what comes back to us on the turn. Hopefully there's a little bit of outfielder depth. And Mookie goes. Yeah, Mookie's probably the other one that I would have thought about taking in this slot here. As you can see, we will be drafting 20 players. I'll show you what the breakdown for scoring looks like in a second here, just after our next pick. So we have Mookie Betts, Kyle Tucker, Trey Turner. No real surprises yet. And now we're coming back. We can see Freddie go, Cole. All right, so we got to start thinking about what we want to do here. Now we could go ahead and grab Schwarber if he slips to us. We could go ahead and grab one of the two aces, Garrett Cole being the other. You can see he just went and picked 14, and Corbin Burns. Or we could get some power locked in on the infield. Burns just went. What are we going to do here? Okay. So I think, as you heard me mention earlier in the first round, that if you take a look, outfield drops off so fast in this format. I don't usually love reaching for Schwarber, since I do think he is considerably a little bit of a step down from the other one. You know what? Let's make this a fun team. Let's do this fun. I think that Tatis legitimately has a chance to be the best player in fantasy this year if he stays healthy and is able to stay on the field. So let's go ahead and grab him here. And so far we're shaping out. We went really infield heavy, which is something to remember. We're going to have to look towards to loading outfielder in the back half of the draft and see if we can snake a little bit of value there. But yeah, honestly, it's just a really fun team with two young potential superstars in Vladdy and Fernando Tatis Jr. as well. So the way that this Dinger format works is you'll play I believe it's 18 weeks of standard baseball. Yeah, so you can see here. So it's MLB best ball for the first 1 to 18 weeks, and that'll be your season-long cumulative, right? So you're going to want to try to get as many weekly points as possible based on the configuration of what it is. So the scoring is as follows. And then each week you'll be starting the following. So of all the players that you draft, you need to run out 3 pitchers, 3 infielders, 3 outfielders, and 1 flex. So then that's what goes into your scoring. And then it's a bit of a sprint to the finish in the last couple of weeks. As you can see, the quarters, semis, and championships are all 2-week. Sorry guys, cat's just causing some havoc on the lap here. But as you can see, it's all a 2-week sprint there. So let's go ahead and check back what's happening in the draft. So after we took Tatis, yeah, there it is. Schwarber goes right after. You can see, again, people really like to hammer on the outfield. And we got Goldschmidt, Strider, who I really like this year. I think he's going to have a massive season. Matt Olson, Pete Alonso, Austin Riley, Manny Machado, and Sandy Alcantara. Okay, so again, no real surprises. Michael Harris is dropping a little bit, but to be honest with you, I kind of have him closer down to this next tier of players than opposed to like the higher end outfielders anyways, sort of thing. Devers in the 3rd round is a great value. Okay, so we're 7 picks away. We can kind of start thinking about what we want to do here. And again, we went pretty heavy on the infield, so ideally we're going to want to try to shore up our outfielder or maybe grab a horse for our rotation just to see. So looking down the board, like I said, we don't really love Harris this year, but at that value, it's pretty solid. Randy's on the board. Cedric Mullins, Reynolds. DeGrom just went. He would have been someone else to pick. I do think that there's a drop off from DeGrom to when you get down to here and into the Scherzer, Bieber, Woodruff tier itself. And there goes Randy. Something that you definitely want to try to do if it works out. I'm not saying like overextend necessarily if it's grabbing an inferior player, but looking to grab a teammate to stack is always a nice option as well. So looking at that, makes Springer a prime candidate for us to go ahead and take if he slips to us here, as we have the Vlad already, so that would be a nice little natural stack, and we can see Simeon just went. Yeah, so I would say here I'm either looking, it's probably one of the outfielders or Scherzer. Yeah, I don't think that we can really pass up on getting that stack with Vladdy. So it's a little bit elevated for Springer's ADP. But to be honest with you, I kind of like him more than Mullins and Reynolds anyways. That could be a little bit of Jay's bias, but I think when in doubt, kind of go with the outfielder on the better team. Yeah, so thanks for watching my video tonight. I'm a new channel here, as you guys can tell, so we're going to really start to get things going here over the next little bit, and hopefully, again, just kind of give you your one-stop shop for all you need information for best ball, fantasy, and all the other sports as the season progresses here. Okay, coming up again, Scherzer just goes. That's a little unfortunate. He would have been nice. Verlander. I'm thinking here we take Bieber if he's still available. I do like him at this slippage. I'd like Woodruff this year. Oh, and of course Bieber goes. Okay, so let's see. I think we're looking, if we want to go pitcher, we can grab Woodruff. Outfielder, we have Carroll, who's really sprung up the draft boards. I like him this year, but I don't know if I like him at his current value. You know what? Let's just go ahead and lock in a horse here, and we'll go ahead and grab Brandon Woodruff and see what comes back. Altuve. And yeah, so something to consider here as well is kind of exposures when looking at your teams, maybe where they're at and everything, and just kind of like what you have relative. I mean, like for example, if I'm doing 10 of these dinger drafts, I'm probably not going to want to grab the same 10 players or the same players in all 10 drafts, just to diversify our portfolio a little bit in the event that one of them does get hurt or something like that. It doesn't derail all of our teams. So just something to think about when it goes, and you can see Luis Robert goes. I really like him this year. I've definitely got a lot of exposure to him next to the field. He's, I think, poised to have a good breakout. And really kind of cement his status as a star in the league. That whole White Sox team, I feel like, is sort of a little bit in post-hype sleeper mode right now. They were the big ticket the last couple of seasons. Injuries, underperformance, you know how it is. Like, people just kind of fall off you a little bit after you lose the limelight sort of thing. So, yeah. We can see here, Cease is slipping quite a bit. He's not my favorite pitcher. He's had a bit of a rough spring, but at the same time, like, the guy is probably the only other threat to Garrett Cole to lead the league in strikeouts if he stays healthy. And Rodon goes, interesting. Yeah, so I'm sure everyone knows Rodon just left recently. He's got his forearm strain, which is never a good sign for a pitcher, especially in spring training. So I'm a little surprised he didn't slip farther, but yeah, definitely someone I've kind of been avoiding ever since that news broke. All right, looking ahead, we're 4 picks away here, so let's see. We could go outfielder again. I kind of think there's a drop off after this Yelich Bryant tier. Obviously, Harper's a stud, but he'll be missing half the season, which I kind of tend to go more Bryce if I go outfielder heavy at the start. That way, I'm not so reliant on him for production. I say we go ahead and grab Yelich if he's here, and then yeah, that's probably our best bet. If not, I guess we could go pitcher, or maybe we lock in that third infielder and get Lindor since he's kind of slipping a little bit. But I think Yelich is dead and Manoa goes. Anything else we want here? Pitcher wise, I think I have Darvish and Gosman. Darvish, Gosman, and Ray, probably in that order for what I preferred, so I don't think we really need to extend ourselves for one of them. We could grab Seager as well if Lindor slips. Yeah, I think we go Yelich just because of the big drop off after him and give us our second outfielder. Now, already looking at this team, Vladdy had a little bit of a knee tweak in spring. Tatis is going to miss the first month of the season and then hopefully stay healthy the rest of the year. Springer's been banged up, and Yelich has underperformed in the past seasons a little bit as well. So already, depending on how these next couple pitcher picks goes, just given the kind of like heightened risk that I've taken on the position player side of things, I'm kind of thinking that this might be a 6 pitcher build with the additional spots going into infielder, outfielder. And I'll talk a little more about that as we sort of get to the end and we can kind of evaluate the team. This is going to be a long video. I know people really only like seeing the start of the draft, so if you want to, go ahead and you can skip to the end for my analysis on how the whole thing turned out and what I might have done differently next time. Yeah, we can see Lindor, Abreu, Darvish, Ward go off the board for us. Numi too. I wonder if that's the badge, bro. It probably is. Numi, what up if you're watching this? And he goes Bryce Harper. Interesting. We'll come back and take a look at that a second here. Yeah, I think we go ahead and we grab Kevin Gausman. A little Toronto heavy, but honestly, I think Gausman's going to have a good year as he did last year. Vladdy's a perennial MVP candidate, and yeah, Springer was a nice stack, so we're not doing too bad, but yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so you can see looking here, if we look at Numi 2's team here, you'll see he's got Mookie, Brian Reynolds, and then Bryce Harper is his third outfielder. And that's kind of what I've been seeing as my sweet spot and my personal risk tolerance level is I like having Bryce locked in that third spot. Like for example, if I took Bryce when I would have had to instead of Yelich in this round, then all of a sudden we're working with a George Springer, Bryce Harper who is missing half the year outfield before a significant drop off in rankings and overall player talent. So while he like especially with the way the scoring's set up and that so much emphasis is put on those last couple of weeks when you're really competing for the ultimate prize money in that 100K up top, adding a bat like Bryce Harper to your lineup is never a bad thing, and honestly, it could definitely swing a team and give them that boost that they need in order to ultimately place in that money. But when you only have one guy already up at the top, you can't forget that you have to ultimately get to that money round at the end as well. So having one guy and then having a guy who's not really going to do anything for you for 6, 7 months of the season, it doesn't really make a whole bunch of sense when team building. So not only do you want to look for different value and kind of see how drafts falling when you're doing these, but you also want to look at your team and kind of think, A, what's your end goal, and how has your earlier pick shaped what you might do in the later rounds. Okay, we're coming up here. Let's take a look. And we're starting to see some of the outfielders pile up a little bit. We've got Nimmo, Castellanos, Marte. Honestly, I'm not too thrilled about any of them. We got Rhys Hoskins. Oh, God. Let's go ahead and grab. I like Wander this year. A little post high sleeper. I was debating double tapping pitcher there, and we could have gone maybe McKenzie or Snell, and then grabbed Musgrove on the way back. Musgrove's one of those guys I've been trying to smash as soon as he gets to me on these boards because yes, he's missing the start of the season, but it is only with a toe injury, and I mean anything not arm related. I'm on like yes, it could affect his plant foot and landing, and I know, but if it's not the arm, I'm not too worried about it at this time. I'll be honest with you. There's just such a risk for injuries for pitchers, and with the way that these guys' ADPs are falling that are missing the start of the season, I think there's too much baked in value at that. So yeah, I think we go pitcher here. I think. God, interesting. Week to week. Yeah, I would say Nemo's going to drop as well now. And as you can see, there's obviously not much left in terms of outfield there. So, with this next pick, I really like Lars Nootbaar this year. I think we either overextend and go him, or we grab pitcher in Joe Musgrove, maybe. Nimmo goes. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to scroll down and click on Lars. Mainly because I don't love necessarily many of the options there. And this is where I really noticed that going infielder at the start of the draft kind of gets into you. If we look at our queue here, we're seeing so much purple and green, right? That's just value that's bubbling up because people at this point realize outfield's so thin and they have to reach to get those guys. Let's take a look at some of these other teams here and how they're shaping up. So we got JT Thomas, Judge, Sandy, Devers, Arenado. Interesting. Very pitcher heavy on this one. Soto, Machado, Nolan. Tristan McKenzie goes. Hunter Green. Blake Snell. Yeah, so we can start to see a bit of a run on purple here now, which I thought might happen. Willie Adames goes. Logan Gilbert. Interesting. Yeah, and so here's where you can see, like, consistently before, Musgrove was going way before all of these guys. Honestly, I've seen Gilbert sneak up the board so much in these last couple of weeks. He's looked really. And there goes Joe Musgrove. Yep, that was. Honestly, it was a bit of a stretch thinking that he might make us back to us anyways here. But that's all right. Okay, so thinking ahead to this round, I think that we grab one of the infielders if they fall down to us. Honestly, Vinny P, Carlos Carrasco, even Dansby, I don't hate at this price. So like any of them could be good. I like Giolito as a bit of a bounce back. Logan Webb, I have concerns about with the shift and everything like that. But that being said, he's the opening day starter on what I think should be a pretty good team in a pretty pitcher friendly division. Good ballpark. So he's not bad. And so I think at this point, honestly, I'm kind of gravitating towards double clicking pitcher just because, like we said earlier, if I'm going to steer it a little more hitter heavy, eventually I have to start gobbling up some of this pitcher value that's dropping to these middle rounds. Yeah, so we'll see who's here. Don't mind Webb, but I like Kyle Wright as well. He's just a steady, reliable guy who's going to go out there, eat his innings, and get you what you need. Vinny P, baby. Vinny P, baby. Charlie Morton. Oh man, I didn't want to. Oh, Dansby just goes. Okay, that makes our decision a little easier. I'd say we go Giolito and then we tap on, honestly, any of these guys I'm okay with coming back, I think, from there. So we'll see what breaks. This is an interesting build that Numi has going on here. So, okay. See, I like this team. He grabbed his 2 horses with Bruins and Bieber. Really loaded up on outfield, grabbing that value as it kind of dropped down to him. You can see he got it on Nimmo just because of the injury. Harper. Betts. And then I'm guessing he's just going to start to gobble up some of this infield depth as it comes later on. And yeah. So Kirby goes. Gunnar Henderson, who's also a guy that we really like this year. And yeah, let me know down in the comments who's some of your biggest hype sleepers going into this season here. Who are you putting on all your best ball teams? Who are your highest exposures? What are your thoughts on Underdog? Yeah, let me know. Let's see. Taylor. It's a pretty balanced team. He could go either way on this one. Bellinger, interesting. Yeah, I don't hate Kyle Wright in this spot. I like Nick Lodolo this year as well. Seiya's another one of those guys that's really getting his value pressed down just because everyone's scared he's going to miss opening day. Well, to be fair, he is missing opening day. Oh, and he goes, so that makes my choice a little easier. Yeah, that's the play. Let's grab right, build out this steady rotation, and this officially a 6 pitcher build, which I don't have too many of, so it'll be interesting. The only thing that scares me going a little lighter on pitchers, I didn't really have that. Like Woodruff is good, yes, but I don't really have that like one elite guy. Like your Burns, your Coles, even even your Striders for that matter, just to really kind of carry your pitching staff through, right? Like I would say everyone's solid, but unless we have some real like again breakouts from Giolito, maybe Woodruff takes a step up to that elite category. I don't really know how we're gonna be going there, and wow, outfield is thin. So already, I think that we're gonna have to catch up a little bit in outfield. Like if we're looking, who are some guys that kind of pair naturally with what we have going on here? And this is what I'm saying. These are some ugly names down at the bottom. I kind of like Garrett Mitchell later on in the draft, like later on in the draft. I think just he's going to be a good speed guy for them this year. He'll probably swipe 30, 40 bags if he's in, which should mean some ribbies for Yelich there as a bit of a natural start stack partner. Besides that, though, I'm not seeing a whole bunch, which is kind of concerning, but it's fine. We don't love how this one got away from us, but that's okay. 85. Senga, Kron. Lance Lynn. Man, I don't know here. I don't know. I don't even know if Benny Biceps is going to get back to us if we wait. Bassett's a plow horse. He could give us some dependable innings. Mm-hmm. Kershaw goes. Glasnow went at 115. I've been seeing him slip quite a bit farther than that. Anytime you see Glasnow in like the 120s, 145s, it's like, yes, honestly, there's a higher than not chance that that could be the entire year. Oh, we're on the clock. We should pick somebody, actually, I guess. Hey. Yeah, fuck it. Let's go into Lodolo. Yeah, Lodolo. Okay, so pitcher's looking pretty thick for us for the time being. I say we can turn purple off for a couple of rounds here, and let's just focus on grabbing some hitters. Who we got? Hadley goes. Joe Ryan's another guy I like this year. There's some big buzz in camp that he has added a couple new pitches, and one of which being a sweeper, which I know everyone seems to have added a sweeper this year, but I think that I like him pitching in the Central. Well, it'll be a bit better this year than in past, but that's all right. Um, yeah, like Riz is dropping. I don't mind Rizzo here, just to get us a stable infield bat. Rizzo, and then you see, like fucking Numi's got 6 outfielders here. Hogging all the depth, man. Hogging all the depth. Pablo, what do we do here? I think we go Rizzo. Yeah. I'm just gonna leave this up, run to grab a drink, and I'll be back. Hey, what did we miss? Mark Canna goes, Jeffrey Springs, Freddie Peralta. I will say that's one downside as well to going heavy with pitcher like we have here and kind of locking up most of our rotation spots is that I like a lot of these breakout candidates at the end of the draft. And I know that's where you're not getting your stable, dependable innings, but I think that's a reason why a lot of my teams so far have been that 7-8 pitcher build because I find I can really get more sure hitters up in those earlier rounds and then throw those darts and those lottery tickets at the end when I'm really just trying to stretch the value on when it comes to pitcher. Cannon, Springer, Benintendi, Anderson, Bell. And Brady Singer. That's a guy, all right. That is a guy, all right. Yeah, so moving forward on this channel, we're gonna have all sorts of live content, card openings. We're gonna be doing again some more pre-recorded best ball drafts and streams. We'll do some weekly analysis as the season goes on, some check-ins, like see if we're throwing our money down the toilet or if we actually have a chance at shipping something this year and kind of seeing how it goes from there. But yeah, If you could like this video and subscribe, you'll be notified of all our future stuff. And yeah, it's exciting times ahead for sure with the MLB season just around the corner. Like we're officially under 2 weeks away from first pitch now. Yeah. I know I've been enjoying the WBC. Hopefully everyone else has as well. Devastating news about Edwin Diaz, of course, but even to see him pitch in such a giant game sort of thing, like it's cool. It's a pretty cool tournament, right? Okay, so we're really getting into some deep outfield here. I think just to avoid getting stuck, we probably double tap yellow in this scenario, honestly. What do we want to do here? I I think of this batch of outfielders that is currently here. I kind of like Gonzalez the best. No, actually, what we're gonna do is we're gonna double tap San Fran, and we're gonna get a nice little outfield stack here with Mike Yastrzemski and Jock Peterson on the comeback. Come on, baby. And Numi's probably gonna take a seventh outfielder here and ruin our plan on that one a little bit, but that's all right. Eugenio Suarez. So this is an example of the live drafts that you can do with Underdog. You can see them in their MLB section now. They have a couple different ones depending on your risk level and everything like that, obviously. So the warm up two, perfect game, the dinger, which is the one that we're currently drafting now, and then you can even just do a variety of like $5, $10, kind of more similar to regular fantasy leagues. Whereas you're not playing in a tournament against a bunch of people, you would just be against whoever's in your league to start that. So there's two different ways of drafting. You can do what we're doing now, which is the traditional route of 30 seconds per pick, or you can do what's called a slow draft, where they do 4 hours per pick. Now, I think this used to be 8, but because we're obviously coming up on the season, they have to get this tournament done and filled, they knocked it down to 4. So as you can see right now, here's the one that we're doing, and then I'm in a bunch of slows as well, just because honestly, you kind of have to if you want to, just going to shift this a little bit so we can get back in. You kind of have to do some slows if you want to fill them all. There's not enough hours in the day to necessarily just sit at the computer all the time and draft all these teams, so we'll see. So it looks like it's working out nicely. The Jock falls back to us here at the turn, and he does perfect. So we tap that. And now we're Giants fans this season, so that'll be something, most definitely. Now, I don't love either player necessarily, but again, like we're at the point of the draft where we're very, very thin in the outfield, and we're just looking to create value of some sort. I mentioned stacks earlier. There wasn't really any players that I kind of liked their upside around then. Actually, that's a lie. I know it's a lot of spring training buzz, but I do like Jared Clinic this year. But it was just a nice natural pair for teammates kind of thing. My only concern is if they do platoon them a little bit, but I think with the DH spot in the National League, we should be fine on that. Now, this is point scoring, so it's not like traditional Roto where you're kind of worried about categories and planning out stolen bases, runs, RBI, home runs, your various pitching stats and all that. So it's a bit different in terms of how it works in that degree. But yeah, I kind of tend to draft more like points league style as a result and not focus as much on specialist guys or whatever certain categories they might excel at, but more so who's the best player that I think that has the highest chance for the most weekly point total. Nicholas, and okay, so we're probably at that point in the draft where I'd look to start grabbing my final pitcher. We have a bunch of solid guys, so what I'm kind of looking for at this point there is really just someone with that high upside spike that, hey, if it goes well, like, it goes well. And the weeks that he's in, we're actually using him and he's good. So someone that I see on this list that meets that scenario, and maybe I've taken too much of him this year, but is Jack Flaherty. I know that he's had his health issues the past couple seasons, but man, when that guy is right, he is one of the best pitchers in the game, and the Cardinals, like they are every year, are just going to be sick. So obviously, it doesn't hurt to play for a good team in the win category either. And besides that, that's a little further down, so I'd say we hold off on him. Oscar Gonzalez has fallen quite a bit. I was debating taking him at the last pick. We could do that. I liked Salvador, but he just went as well there. I've been on the Jonathan India bounce back train this season. I think we go Oscar if he's there, though. Right? I think we go Oscar and then see what makes it back to us on the other hand. Kettle Marte is still down there. We like him as well. Oh, of course, as it goes, hey? As it goes. Okay, that's all right. Yeah, let's do it. Jonathan India, welcome to the squad. Merrill Kelly. That's one thing that I've really trying to been doing this year is, like Nick Lodolo is the exception on this staff, but is staying away from pitchers on bad teams. Obviously, wins are a pretty fluky category when it comes to pitcher, and the fact that they're included as part of the scoring in any fantasy league is a debate we can get into some other date. But I do think that, like, while they might be risky and not really predictable, you can do certain things to put the odds as best in your favor as possible, right? So I'll touch on that in a sec here. Okay, coming down. Yeah, I say I still like grabbing Jack Flaherty at this pick. We shut off pitcher at that point and purely focus on hitter. That would give us a 7 and 6, 7-7 build. Yeah, I like it. All right, come on, Numi, don't take Jack Flaherty on us. And he took Kettle Marte. We made our choice even easier. Okay, Jack Flaherty it is. And yeah. All right, so what I was saying with pitcher wins is that, like, yes, let's take Woodruff, for example. He could obviously go out there, throw a 7-inning shut piece, and lose the game from the bullpen, whatever, right? But by kind of steering towards pitchers with good teams, they're naturally going to have the built-in run support. And they're contending teams. You're going to have better players. They're scoring more runs per games. Because they do have winning aspirations, they probably have a bullpen built out with a little bit better arms than you would find anywhere, just anywhere in the league sort of thing. So again, while all those things don't necessarily guarantee them to pick up a win each week or each time that they go out there, you're just helping the probabilities by so much, right? And then the ideal thinking is that those percentages over the course of the year are going to kind of amount to the one extra win here, one extra win there, another home run here, another extra RBI here. And that's ultimately what might push you over the top into winning one of these. Garrett Mitchell goes. He was one of the guys that we wanted as a potential late stack with Yelly. But that's okay. You can't have all the players, right? Trent Grisham, he would have been okay as well. I don't think he's going to play, but that's fine. Yeah, so now we're just looking mainly, like I said, we've shut off pitcher at this point, so we're mainly team green, team orange. And we're going to look for some of our favorite guys that we think are going to have some good seasons. Some people slipping in their ADPs a little bit. Austin Meadows, I can see being one. Or just some natural stack partners here. I kind of like this little Duval Turner action that's going on. Like, yes, Turner's a little older, but I think that he's just going to have a monster season hitting off of the monster. And just, like, honestly, the park factor of him going from LA to Boston, I think is going to, like, be substantially noticeable. And the Red Sox aren't very good this year. Like, they're going to have to put him out there. Same thing with Duval. I don't necessarily love his profile, but playing at Fenway on that team, he just needs it. So let's go ahead and try to line that up as well. What do we grab first? You know what? Let's grab Turner first. I like him a little more than Duval if we end up just saddled with the one of them, so that's all right. And we'll see who makes it back to us on the outfielder side of things. So yeah, we're coming up on the end here. 3 picks left per team. Meadows goes. He would have been someone we considered grabbing on the comeback. John Gray. I like Jorge Soler as well, purely as like a power guy. Yeah, I think that he can just have a big year. Grossman. All right, now as long as Numi here doesn't pick an outfielder, which he shouldn't, then I think we've successfully completed our little back-to-back Boston stack, which is some nice value in these late rounds for us here. Stroman, perfect. We'll go ahead and tap Duval. And all of a sudden, our team's looking a little fuller. Let's just take a quick run through the roster. So we have Woodruff, Gossman, Giolito, Wright, Lodolo, and Flaherty. I feel pretty solid about Woodruff, Gossman, Wright, Lodolo's ability to stay healthy. Giolito, I think he's going to have a good year as well, bounce back and give us some of those valuable innings. The biggest red flag or risk that I see on our pitching staff is Flaherty and just his wild cardness. But that's why he's kind of tossed in there at the end. So looking at this, it's like, yes, it's a little more boom bust than I would normally tend to go in a low pitcher build. But I do like the stability that's here, so I think I'm comfortable staying course and keeping it a 6-pitcher play. So when we go to infield, we have Guerrero, Tatis, Franco, Rizzo, India, and Turner. So same thing. Guerrero and Tatis are pretty good bets as long as they're playing. There's definitely a little bit of risk there with Tatis' suspension and then kind of like both of their lengthy injury history for being pretty young in their careers. Wander, we're kind of banking on the post-hype sleeper a little bit sort of thing. I do think he's going to have a solid year. Rizzo should be dependable in Yankee Stadium. India, again, a bit of a bounce-back candidate, but hopefully he can kind of get back to that Rookie of the Year form. And Turner, again, is another stable veteran in our infield. So looking at that group, I feel solid. I think it's a solid mix of floor and potential upside. I still think given the riskier profiles of some of the guys that we have and given the fact that they haven't necessarily performed over multiple big league full-length seasons, that we definitely want to go ahead and add another one there before the end of this. So we'll know that's how we'll use one of our 2 remaining spots. And then outfielder, we have Springer, Yelich, Nootbaar, Yastrzemski, Pedersen, and Duval. So same thing. Not like all kind of like decent guys, a couple sleepers, a bounce back candidate in Yelich. Springer's a bit of a wild card if he's healthy. So yeah, again, I feel good about adding in that extra infielder and that extra outfielder. The question is who? And our turn is quickly approaching here. So one guy that I like that I've been drafting with Toronto and might have to grab here just because we have a little bit of a Guerrero Springer stack is Whit Merrifield. And Whit Merrifield. We can go ahead and turn pitcher off because we're not going there. Do we see anybody else? We know we're going to want to go outfielder for our next one. And honestly, there's not really anybody fully jumping out to me necessarily. So let's go ahead and grab Whit Merrifield. One injury on the Blue Jays infield, and suddenly he's playing every day. And who knows, maybe he can bounce back and get a little bit of that Kansas City form that he had. And De La Cruz goes. Okay, let's see. That would have been nice to grab, but that's okay. Here's where I don't mind getting a little funky. Is just kind of scrolling down and seeing what we can potentially get. Yeah, again, looking at the profile of our team, there's not really anyone that I'm seeing here necessarily. You know what? I haven't really grabbed Harrison Bader yet this year. Let's keep it in division, show it a little bit of love, and we'll grab some Bader action just to see. I think that he's going to be the Yankees' everyday center fielder if he's healthy. And yeah. All right, so that wraps it up for tonight in our Dinger draft. We can do a quick team recap here. We got Woodruff, Ghostman, Giolito, Wright, Lodolo, Flaherty. Infielders Guerrero, Tatis, Franco, Rizzo, India, Turner, Merrifield. Outfield Springer, Yelich, Nootbaar, Yastrzemski, Pedersen, Duval, and Bader. Yeah, so my initial thoughts looking at this team are that I'm a little weak in the outfield. We definitely have some names there, but there's no one that I can really bank on for that steady production of a number one guy in the outfield there, which makes sense given that we didn't select one until our third pick. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed following along here tonight. Like I said, please like this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to be dropping some more upcoming best ball videos going live. And then before the season starts, I'll be doing a whole breakdown of my exposures and talking about the teams. Yeah, I think that's awesome. Chat soon.